Well, your first mistake was challenging me. And then you had the nerve to call my worthless students worthless. Only I can insult those slackers.
He does like us. Well, I'll be.
Totally you might see it. Yeah, never say die. Got to go.
It's time to talk about the man who uses the ancient gear Golem. It's time to talk about Crowler. Yes, everybody, Crowler is going to be in this series, as he did have some duels in Season 2. He dueled against Bonaparte, and he dueled with Bonaparte, funny enough. And thanks to that, we get to see a couple new cards enter his deck from Season 1. Sadly, it's only going to be a couple new cards, because literally this guy does not change his decks that much within the first 2 seasons. The good news is, that means his deck is still pretty good, because in the first season it was actually pretty good and won him a duel in the tournament. The bad news is, it's still as inconsistent as it was before, except for one thing. He added the Trojan Horse, and the Trojan Horse is actually just a solid 1600 beater monster that can be used to summon the Ancient Gear Golem with only it as a tribute, so that is really good. Other than that, though, not much has changed, so we could just go ahead and start looking at his cards. So, boss monster, obviously Ancient Gear Golem. 3000 attack, 3000 defense, does piercing, can't be stopped by spells and traps, which is all the Ancient Gears, which is so freaking cool. We have Ancient Gear Beast, which is one of the better tactical ones. It's a single tribute Ancient Gear monster. 2000 attack, 2000 defense, nothing wrong with that. And it stops the effects of the monsters it attacks. No flip effects can activate, and no effects can activate in the graveyard. It's really nice. We have the Ancient Gear Engineer, and the Engineer is pretty good in some ways and really bad in others. Good in the way that every time it attacks and destroys a monster or whatever, I think if it just attacks, you get to target one spell or trap card on the field and destroy it, which is really nice. At least that your opponent controls. Problem is, they made this monster level 5 and it only has 1500 attack, 1500 defense, making it a terrible monster. But what are you gonna do? We have the Trojan Horses, which we have already explained. The basic Ancient Gear Soldiers, which are just there. They're not great, but they're not bad. He's got Heavy Mech Support Platform. He's got Ancient Gear Cannons, and he's got Ancient Gears. His basic spell trap card support is Ancient Gear Explosive, Graceful Charity, Heavy Storm, Machine Duplication, which is really good for his Heavy Mech supports and his Ancient Gear Cannons. And I think his Ancient Gears. He has Magnet Circuit level 2, or Circle level 2, which lets him special summon his Ancient Gear Cannon and Ancient Gear from his hand. He's got Pot of Greed, MSTs, Ancient Gear Castles, which are very handy. He's got Ancient Gear Fist. He's got Ancient Gear Tank, which is a nice one because it can do burn. He's got Premature Burial, which is pretty handy to have in this deck. Doesn't work on his best monsters like Golem or Beast, but can be used to special summon a monster like Trojan Horse to summon one of these guys later. He still has his Statue of the Wicked trap cards, which works well with his Heavy Storm, or just the opponent trying to pick out a trap card and messing up and letting him special summon one of these as a monster. And he's got 0 gravities. So, Crowler has not changed much. He's kind of, still stuck in his ways, and that's fine. He's got an interesting deck here. But the stats are definitely going to be different this season because the levels of stats, the averages, have changed. So, let's check those out in the corner right now. As you can see, Crowler is kind of an average Joe now. He's not the heaviest hitter anymore because, Golem, it's really, really good, but the rest of his monsters are holding him back. Speed-wise, he's actually, average. Nothing wrong with that. He has some good search, some good special summon. But other than that, it's not too effective. Skill, not too much skill, but he does have Cannon's effect for burn. He has Ancient Gear Explosive for burn. He has Ancient Gear Tank for burn. So he does have some burn cards. Not enough to win him a duel, but enough to, make your opponent sweat. So maybe that'll help out. When it comes to defense, it's the same as the attack because all of his monsters, except like Ancient Gear and Trojan Horse, have the same attack and defense stats, which is kind of funny. It reminds me of Sartorius and his Arcana monsters. So the Ancient Gears, they like to flip-flop. So honestly, average defense, nothing wrong with that. Not very lucky. I know this technically can be considered somewhat lucky because you need your opponent to destroy it, but you also could just MST or, Heavy Storm it, so it's not exactly luck-based, but it could be considered a little luck. But I'm not going to give it to him. And then we have his brick stat, which brick stat wise, I gotta say it, he's kind of Yeah, he can brick. Like, it's not that bad. I think it's a little better than last season thanks to Trojan Horse, but other than that, it's still a little bit bricky. He's on the average, so I would say you're only going to brick like 50% of the time. The other 50%, you can wreck your opponents. All you really need to do is get Ancient Gear Castle. If you can get Ancient Gear Castle and keep it on the field, you'll be able to get the rest of your monsters out. But Ancient Gears, these 6 cards right here, these 6 are going to hold you back if you don't have the proper combos. The best combos you could do, though, is if you could get Machine Duplication with the heavy mech support platforms, you could summon 3 of these, attach all 3 to one monster, and that one monster is going to be untouchable. It will be unstoppable. Because these don't say you have a limit. You can have all 3 of them attached to one monster, and then that one monster can't be destroyed 3 times, and they get 500 attack and defense. Literally busted. If you gave these 3 to a regular Ancient Gear soldier who cannot be targeted by spell, or who stops spells and traps during the damage step, that's insane. Like, that's actually insane. But if you do it to something like Ancient Gear Golem, you win the duel. You literally just win. Or you can Machine Duplication them just to summon a bunch of them so you could tribute summon one of your better monsters, and whoever's left can be attached. It's literally a good combo. His deck is actually pretty cool. Honestly, I wouldn't mind running this deck myself. I like Ancient Gears. I use them in the Master Duels. I showed them off, you know, when I pulled them in the packs. And honestly, when it comes to Crowler's character, this is where he starts having a small turning point. He's still a complete ass, don't get me wrong. But it shows that he cares. You know what it is? He still cares more about himself than he does about his students. That's 100% it. But he's not as bad as Bonaparte. Because Bonaparte cares more about the school and his image, whereas Crowler cares more about himself. He doesn't even care about the school that much, which is why he's starting to switch over to, you know what, let the Slifer Red Dorm stay. Plus, how are they going to get rid of the Slifer Red Dorm? Wouldn't that freaking just piss off Seto Kaiba? Because Seto Kaiba would be like, no, I want the bad students to go to the Slifer Red Dorm. There needs to be a Slifer Red Dorm to make Yugi feel bad. And then, you know, they would just be like, but sir, that's insane. Why would the King of Games feel bad just because you made the Egyptian god he happened to have, you know, the worst dorm? Like, that makes no sense. What, does he even know about Duel Academy? Yeah, he does know about Duel Academy. That's like, I guess it's just one little dick. He needs to get his jokes in, to hit Yugi, since his freaking monsters can't. Oh, the sad boy. But Professor Crowler, man, I would say that he's starting to have a small turning point where he's thinking more about the students, but he's still all about himself in this season, which is a problem to me. So, you know, he's still a dick. Some things never change. Overall, though, I am excited to see how far he can go in this tournament because Ancient Gears are really fun to play, and he does have at least decent support with Castle, Explosive, Fist, and Tank. These cards can help out quite a bit. And honestly, I just want to see how far this deck can go. So whoever actually does like Crowler or Ancient Gears, most likely Ancient Gears, let me know what you think, because I'm going to give this deck a potential of... I'm going to go with, and I'm being very generous right now, 3 full stars. I'm going to give him 3 full stars. I think he can win the tournament, but it's not unlikely, but it's not that likely. Because if he gets Ancient Gear Golem early enough, he can beat anybody in this tournament. 100%. Any of them will just die very quickly. And they won't have time to make a comeback. But that's hard to pull off. That is still hard to pull off. Yes, there are combos here that can make it happen, but it's still hard to pull off. So, if he gets Ancient Gear Golem early enough multiple times, yes, he can win the whole tournament. If he doesn't, or maybe even Beast might be enough, he can win the tournament, but if he doesn't, he'll most likely just get overpowered or outskilled. He could definitely be outskilled, but overpowered is what can happen to him too. Just not to Ancient Gear Golem. That thing could probably overpower most of the other opponents in this series, because it's easier to summon with all these combos like Trojan Horse, Premature Burial, Machine Duplication, Magnet Circle LV2, Statue of the Wickeds, Ancient Gear Castles. I mean, it's not that hard to summon in this deck. So, that's going to be it for Crowler. 3 stars, you know, he earned it. And I hope you all are ready for whatever comes next. The next character should be just as fun as this guy, or maybe someone you forgot about. See you all then, and remember to like and subscribe.